What is the worst thing you've done as a child that you absolutely deserved being punished for? I stayed home from elementary school once on Valentine's Day. I gave my mom a card and then later ripped it up when she wouldn't let me play games. Never felt so bad in my life when she came into my room crying. I then made another while she was showering. This made me sad. My friends and I were playing with some leftover fireworks in an open field in an undeveloped area of our subdivision when we were 13 or so. We ran out of fireworks, so started setting small fires in the grass and stomping them out. One of them got away from us, spread to the tree line, and boom, forest fire. We took off running and started banging on doors to get someone to call the fire department. It took us forever to get someone to answer, and perfectly formed leaves made completely of ash had begun floating down around us. It ended up wiping out several acres, and took several fire trucks and a helicopter to control, but they managed to stop it before it got to any of the nearby homes. Barely. However, while we were running around banging on doors, we saw German Shepherd struggling to get out of a pool. I assumed he fell in and didn't know where the stairs were, and he kept going under. We burst through the screen door and pulled him out of the water. We never got in trouble for the fire, luckily, because one of my idiot friends wanted to go take credit for reporting it. Later that night a local FD representative was on the news talking about how those who take credit for that sort of thing are usually the ones responsible for starting it in the first place, but I was paranoid for weeks. TLDR. Burned down several acres of forest, but saved a dog. For some reason the combination bad good deed just seems amusing to me. Glad you'll save the dog. Stealing. Unfortunately, I was an excellent thief as a youth. One day a buddy and I stole a lighter and candy from a local store. On our way back home he gets hit by a car crossing the street. I panicked and left him there. Didn't see that one coming right. He lives. I won't admit to it. I feel guilty to this day. Stole a Game Boy Color and deleted some other kid's save on Pokemon Yellow so I could play. Got caught later that night, but crap, I was a terrible kid. You monster. I have a ton of them, but I still insist that I didn't deserve to be punished for them. Back in high school, some wannabe gangster from the suburbs threatened my friend's sister, so my crew and I made his life a living heck for years. We did all sorts of things to him. We subscribed him to about 400 magazines, checking the bill me later option when sending in the subscription card. Similarly, we signed him up for every single free promotion we could find. At one point, a friend overheard him talking about how the mailman had to drop off his mail in bags because his mailbox was overflowing. Gave his car a fresh paint job of used motor oil at least once every couple of months. Threw crates of rotten fruit at his house. Dropped off used tires in his front yard. Glued a dildo to the trunk of his car. Found a box of old shoes and drive-by pelted him and his crew with them. Called his house at all hours of the night and got into screaming matches with his dad, telling him that his son owed us money. Mailed him a box dildo with a custom printed dong in a box label very visible on the outside. And even a fake invoice saying Mr. Butthole, thank you for ordering big black dong. If you are unhappy with your purchase in any way, please let us know immediately. And the coup de grace. One night, I called 6 taxi companies, 3 pizza guys, 4 Chinese places, and a very irritated sounding plumber to his house. I told the plumber that there was crap backing up into my basement, and I needed him there now. Being 1 AM, he sounded like he was awoken from a dead sleep. I happily agreed to his $90 convenience fee for coming at that time of night. As a French speaker, coup de grace equals fat punch. Coup de grace equals a final blow. There had been a big ice storm in our city, and everything has at least a 1-inch coating of ice on it. Well, I was going to help my stepdad out. I thought, I am going to scrape his windshield to surprise him. So I tried, with a plastic ice scraper that immediately broke. So I went looking for another ice scraper, and proceeded to scrape the ice once I had one in hand. I got the windshield cleaned, but I was having fun, and saw there was a bunch on the hood too. So I was scraping the hood clean for him, and he runs out like WTF. I had been scraping his brand new RX-7 with a metal dustpan. Sure enough, when you blew all the snow off, I had scraped the paint to the metal in these jagged lines all across the hood. I saw murder in his eyes, and may have peed a little. To his benefit he simply went into the basement, where I heard stuff crashing and a blue streak of swearing for about 10 minutes. He finally comes out and tells me that he knows I was trying to be nice, gets into his car and heads to work. One time I purposely engraved my sister's initials in an antique silver box we had received after my grandmother had died. I got caught out when I included her middle initial. I can't remember where I got them, but when I was 9 I mail ordered these stickers, which was a drawing of a screw. At the time I heart whatever stickers were very popular. My little sister had a horse and the sticker that went with it. She put this sticker on the bumper of my dad's car. Her sticker read I heart, symbol, my Appaloosa. I put one of my screw stickers over the heart so it read I screw my Appaloosa and then forgot about it. A few weeks went by and I do remember my dad talking about how people were honking and yelling at him but didn't think much of it. It wasn't until he was washing his car that he noticed the sticker. I got a pretty good spanking and absolutely deserved it. I was about 8 years old and was riding my bike to my friend's house. A chipmunk ran in front of me and I swerved right into the taillight of a parked Mercedes. I knew just enough about cars to know that Mercedeses were expensive, so I fled. Almost 20 years later, I remain a fugitive from the law. The statute of limitations for property damage is 3 years in most places, so you are not really a fugitive anymore. When I was 8 years old or so, we lived in an apartment complex in Charleston, SC. My dad was in the Navy and out to sea. My then 6-year-old brother was asleep upstairs and my mom was downstairs watching Oprah. I was bored and I found a lighter in a junk drawer. I saw my brother's diaper in the trash and remember thinking, I wonder if that will catch on fire, so I proceeded to light the edge of the diaper. I watched it burn for a little while, probably mere seconds, and then noticed it wasn't going out for some reason. I walked to the living room. Mom, I have a problem, Aaron. Leave me alone. Go play. I am watching Oprah. I did so and walked back to the trash can. I saw that the little flame had become more than just a flame. I ran back into the living room. Mom, you have seen this, Aaron. Go upstairs to your room and play. I'm watching Oprah. Obediently I ran upstairs and immediately hid under my parents' bed and waited. What seemed like an eternity later I heard my mom at the top of her lungs, Aaron Lee, what have you done? She came running up the stairs to do what I assumed to be kick my little tail, grabbed my baby brother and ran out the front door. Just like that. Didn't even look for me, just left me to burn. I remember thinking I was lucky she didn't find me. I stayed hidden under the bed until I saw bright yellow fireman boots walk up to the bed calling my name. He reached under the bed and pulled me out. I grabbed the railing the whole way down the stairs screaming, no, I don't want to see Mom. I have never seen her angrier. German foreign exchange students in my physics class in high school. I knew a few of them from parties on the weekend. When I saw them in class, the first thing I did was a Hail Hilter. They thought it was hysterical, except for one that thought I was literally insane. The teacher didn't think it was funny either. I was young, and I wanted to see if I could hatch an egg. I then proceeded to break roughly a dozen eggs on the carpet, all by sitting on them. I never hatched an egg. Posed as a child kidnapper while my mom and dad were at work. I used my TalkKid program to threaten and demand money for the return of their children. Mom starts crying, and that's when I gave the whole thing up. I still don't know where I got such a fricked up idea. I was being a little crap in the grocery store and my mom grabbed me by my arm and told me to cut it out, and I made a huge scene and started yelling that she can't hurt me anymore because social services said so. Some social worker was there and came up to us and my mom had to explain that I was just kidding. Then while we were leaving, the cashier asked, "Is that all?" and I said, "What about all the stuff in your purse, Mom?" And my mom looked really embarrassed. Luckily that guy didn't care and figured I was joking after what happened. Not entirely sure if I should upvote you for being an butthole or downvote you for being an butthole. It wasn't me, but my 8-year-old. I have to get this off my chest. We have a 5-month-old that he is incredibly jealous of, and on Sunday CPS came to our house because he called the cops claiming he was left alone with his little brother all night. They were at his in-laws. He is very articulate but very spoiled, as he was the only child for a very long time. He made up outrageous lies that literally made me vomit. He thought that these people would take our baby away and let him stay, so it could just be the 3 of us again. I can no longer have children, and even with explaining the consequences of what he's done, he doesn't seem to care. As a result of this, my children and my husband have to stay at my in-laws to be supervised while the investigation continues. I feel broken and we don't know how to punish him. All these years of no spanking and finding softer ways of disciplining him completely backfired. Waterboarding. If it's good enough for the Dodge, it's good enough for a bratty 8-year-old. When I was 3, I got the keys of my parents' car. Got in the car but couldn't figure out how it started. Got out, went on with my day and forgot the keys. Hour later car was stolen. I'm 23 now. Just told my parents 3 years ago. They weren't that mad. I was probably 11 when I shoved a twig in a drinking fountain at a middle school in my area. I placed it so it sprayed water all over the person's face and shirt. Apparently, the Spanish teacher took a long squirt of cold water right to his face. I got called into the principal's office because rumors started spreading, but I denied it and they couldn't prove anything. Actually, the principal accused me of opening the fountain and tampering with the internals, so it wasn't technically lying, right? One kid asked if he could take the fall for me because he was 1 detention away from an out-of-school suspension and he wanted one, so I'll let him do it. This probably isn't going to blow over too well for me, but here we go. I was a terror as a child, always getting into things, but I had a weird obsession with fire. I was about 8-9 years old at the time. We had a small creek next to our house that drained off the main road we lived on. I had seen that creek overflow several times to the point of water being over the road, but we always played down there anyway. Snakes man. Well, one time after it had flooded I was down in the creek and I found a snapping turtle. Me being obsessed with turtles and fire, I got the bright idea that I was going to stick the turtle in the fire cabinet of my dad's smoker. So, I did. I poured lighter fluid all over it and set him on fire. He just crawled into his shell and cooked. Parents caught me. Naturally, I had to take the turtle out and bury it in the cold. Also was grounded for some time afterwards. My family still brings that up occasionally, even though this has been 15 years ago. I look back at it now and see really how fricked up it was. I am sorry turtle, I love you. Yeah, I am going to heck for that one. TLDR, set a turtle on fire. What the frick, man. I know I'm a bit late to the party, but as a kid, 6ish, my older cousin, 14ish, convinced me at a wedding to get rocks and scratch up all the cars in the parking lot. 100s of cars. We also threw rocks at the windscreens and scratched up the mirrors in the lifts and threw rocks underneath the lifts. People found out and they were looking at CCTV footage to find who did it. By description, our parents knew it was us, as did several other family members, but we never got arrested, even though we should have. The worst thing was that it was all our family that the cars belonged to. My dad was angry at me for years and still calls my cousin a criminal. I was just following what my cool older cousin was doing, and as stupid as it sounds, I didn't think about how it was permanent damage we were causing, or about cameras, or about how it was family we were doing it to. However, I'm still ashamed today. I put wet noodles in my brother's ear while he slept and he would wake up crying thinking he had worms inside his head. I know I wasn't technically a child, but close enough. When I was 17 I caught a wicked bad case of the flu. Homesick from school for like 3 days. My dad took off work the entire time to take care of me, and on day 2 or 3 he had to leave the house for like 5 minutes to go to the dry cleaner to pick up his work suit. I was sitting on the couch wearing just underwear and a giant baggy t-shirt. I was seriously too sick to even bother putting on pants. This couch happened to be about 3 days old, microsuit, and cost about $2,500. Within about 5 minutes of him leaving I sneezed, completely out of the blue, and crapped myself all over the middle cushion of his brand new expensive butt couch. Not like a little poo. I straight brown towned all over his couch. freaked out for about a minute, got up and flipped the couch cushion over and changed clothes, sat back down about 30 seconds before he walked back inside. It's been 7 years and he hasn't realized yet that his favorite part of the couch to watch Mad Money on's underside is covered in his daughter's almost decade-year-old rapidly poorly scrubbed off poop. When I was 12 and had just started middle school, I found myself a little distracted in class, especially math class. I had just gotten my first boyfriend and his family asked me to go skiing with them on a small vacation. My parents were waiting to see my midterm grades before they let me go. I knew I was screwed, so I asked my best friend to lie to all her teachers and say that she needed the signatures and written grades for her family. She had fantastic grades in math and history, which is where I just couldn't focus. Then I used tracing paper and forged the signatures and grades and handed them over to my parents. They absolutely bought it. However, the teachers thought it was fishy that I didn't inquire about my crappy grades and we were found out. My parents grounded me for a month, basically made me break up with said boyfriend, and I had 2 days of in-school suspension. I deserved it. Okay, I'll talk. In 3rd grade, I cheated on my history exam. In 4th grade, I stole my Uncle Max's toupee and I glued it on my face when I was Moses in my Hebrew school play. In 5th grade, I knocked my sister Edie down the stairs and I blamed it on the dog. When my mom sent me to the summer camp for fat kids and then they served lunch, I got nuts and I pigged out and they kicked me out. But the worst thing I ever done, I mixed a pot of fake puke at home and then I went to this movie theater, hid the puke in my jacket, climbed up to the balcony and then I made a noise like this. Hoo 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 hoo, and then I dumped it over the side, all over the people in the audience. And then, this was horrible, all the people started getting sick and throwing up all over each other. I never felt so bad in my entire life. Can't believe I had to scroll this far to find the chunk quote. Bravo. I had a cookie in my hand, about 5 years old. My aunt's Dalmatian came up and ate the dang thing straight from my hand. I grabbed a hammer and hit him on the tailbone and then threw it under some pillows. The shame. I'm sorry, Sparky. Didn't do anything super horrible, but this one stands out to me. At about 9 or 10 years old, I remember coming home with my parents from some outing. It was the middle of the day, and my mom said you should go see if the new neighbors want to come out and play. My response was to get all snooty and say nah, they are too Chinese for me. Smack. Right across the lips. Long story short, I instantly realized what I did wrong. Felt really bad, made friends with the new neighbors, and I'm now the least racist person I know. I used the library computer when I was 5 and the sign clearly stated I had to be 6. I am yet unpunished, but the day will come, and my screams will be ones of pain, justice and liberty. When I was about 7 or 8, my sister and I were a big influence on our little brother. He was 3 at the time. My mom is a graphic designer and was doing a huge landscape poster for the local energy company BC Hydro. She was almost complete on this huge masterpiece. Fully colored. My sister and I peer pressured our little brother into taking a Sharpie and scribble all over the thing. We then told our mom what he had done and she came down and punished him. We never admitted to our crime. Luckily my mom was able to fix it. When I was little, my friend and I were in the boys' room at school having a sword fight that kind of escalated into peeing on the floor and a water fight from the sinks and generally making a mess. The librarian apparently saw it and I had to write an apology note that concluded to err is human, to forgive, divine. Later I started wondering why, if he saw us pee about, why did he just watch and not stop us? 1. When I was 5 or 6, my parents pulled in the driveway and left the keys in the ignition. I got in the car, pushed the handbrake down, fiddled with the shifting stick, manual drive car, and started the car via the ignition keys. Needless to say, I almost killed my grandma as she barely passed by the back of the car. Also, I damaged the side of the house and the car. Punished. 2. I stole a box of matches and started a fire in the trash bin that was conveniently located on the back wall of the house. Luckily my grandparents saw the smoke and put it out. Yet, I was punished. 3. While at the same age, still in kindergarten, I convinced some of the girls in my group to show me their woo-has and let me touch and play with them there. Was not punished. 4. I had a girl as in friend when I was 5-6. She was 2 or 3 years older than me. She convinced me to see some dirty cutouts from a PMag her dad had and let me see her woo her and play with it. Also we used to go in her bathroom in the backyard and play hump naked. Was caught several times. Was not punished but she was 5. I was a bit older by now. I guess 8 or 9 or maybe 10. I pursue these plays with that girl for some time now and she told even older girls we did this, and one of them, I can't remember how old she was, but I do know she had some pubic hair when played with her, made out with me in my grandparents' bathroom out in the backyard and I think we had sex, but I don't really remember much. I was kinda scared not to have my relative see me alone with her in the bathroom. Afterwards, she bragged about this to her a bit younger sister, and she tried convincing her to do the same with me. She was not convinced. No one found out, no one was punished. The girl as in friend left for Italy with her parents by that time and I didn't experience any more sexual encounters by the time I was 15 with another girl. She was a virgin and 3 months younger than me. I am 23 now, still with the same girl, live together and probably will get married soon. I guess I will get punished soon. I had a few more punishments until I was 13 when I suddenly became serious and didn't get into any more troubles. Got jumped by a bully and beat him to an inch of his life. I loved karate movies. Had karate and judo lessons. Beat some more bullies. I've gone to pretty rough school. Smoked. Also spent the night in jail because of graffiti, vandalism charges. My dad got a ticket because by outlaws. My parent answer for any crimes the kid commits until I'm the age of 14 or 16. I sometimes feel I've missed my childhood. Looking back now, I'm a 23-year-old computer geek, programmer, stable girlfriend, live in our own place. In 6th grade pay, everyone was taking turns climbing the high rope. I got all the way to the top, rang the bell, and climbed into the trusses that held up the ceiling. My classmates provided an excited din for the gym coach to yell at me over, and I figured in for a penny, in for a pound and I hoisted the rope up after me. That rope was heavy. The school didn't know how to react, so they just informed my parents and had me isolated during gym and lunch for a few days. Throwing rocks against and over a porch which held a really docile German Shepherd behind it, who obviously went nuts. I was young and stupid and back then I only regretted getting a huge spanking. Looking back I realize it was a huge dong move. In grade 4 I made a website for every kid in my class pointing out their flaws and what I hated about them. Probably not the smartest decision of my life but I was never punished. It's almost the type of thing that can end up with a lawsuit of some sort. When I was in 4th grade, eating raw top ramen out of the bag was a big thing. There was this girl who would eat it almost every day at recess, so one day she didn't have any and I decided to take some dirt sand and pretend that it was the top ramen seasoning. So I tell her, hey look, I have top ramen seasoning, want some? And she goes sure, and so I pour it into her hand and she starts putting her hand to her mouth. Before I can tell her that it's dirt she shoves it in her mouth and I'll never forget the look on her face as she realized what it was and spit it out. I felt like a bee afterwards, but it was funny as frick. I killed a goldfish once, like, inhumanly killed it. I was playing outside, and brought the bowl outside with me. I took the fish out and started playing basketball, and yes, the fish was the ball and the bowl was the hoop. It eventually died, and later that day I lied to my parents that the fish died of natural causes and had thrown it away. They kind of just accepted the fishy story, pun intended, and didn't give it any further objection. I threw an incense burner at my brother while he was practicing with his drums. I missed him and completely broke out the front window in our house. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.